Hey everyone, my name is Sladden. I'm the Digital Marketing Manager for NoblePro. I'm also an E8i front runner, run coach, personal trainer, and an avid fan of Sonic the Hedgehog. It's one of the reasons why I got into running, which is a long story, but funny story. I wanted to jump in here today to kind of talk about my experience of treadmill running, how it's affected me over the past 6, 7, 8 weeks, because I've structured it in my run training plan, and I wanted to kind of describe to you how much of an impact it's made from a road running perspective. So how much the treadmill has carried over to the road and what difference that has made to my training. Now, the beauty of this video is that you're getting two parts. So you're getting me, who's going to be talking about my experience, and then you're going to be getting a second part where the lovely Hayley Carruthers is going to be talking about her experience of using the treadmill and how it helps her with her training. So jumping into my kind of spiel about treadmill running, when I first got introduced to treadmill running is when I used to work some silly long hour jobs. I'd finish a 12-hour shift in a factory, and I'd have this kind of mental battle with myself, kind of saying, should I get my run done before I go to bed, or should I just have a nap and then go and do my run? Now, this was quite dark, and I lived in the middle of nowhere, so it was quite tough for me to kind of head out the door and run in the dark. But luckily, I did live quite close to a gym that was open 24 hours. So I was like, run in the cold, dark, wet, or run in the gym where I'm potentially surrounded by people. There's upbeat pop music going on, and I can just churn up the miles on the treadmill, and that's what I did. After all these long shifts, I'd jump on the treadmill, whether that's tempo run, recovery run, session, anything like that. The beauty of the treadmill is you can control all the variables. You're not being battered by the cold, you're not being battered by the wind. It's not pitch black, so you're not having to worry about where you're running, twisting your ankle, etc. And then fast forwarding to kind of now, since having the NoblePro treadmill. So that was before, I'm kind of using the gym treadmill surrounded by people, and now I've started using the treadmill structurally in my training as my sessions. So as my weeks go, Tuesday's a session, Thursday's a session, and Saturday's a session. I know you're probably thinking, wow, this guy does a silly amount of sessions, but that seems to what works for me, and I just keep carrying on doing that. So what I do within my week is I always make Tuesday my treadmill session day, so whatever track session that is. So the one I've just done this week was 200s and 300s with kind of very short recoveries. Now, the beauty of running on a treadmill for me, because my cadence is so slow, even though I'm 6 foot, which isn't tall by any means for like most runners out there, I find that I'm a bounder with my strides rather than kind of the quick feet that you'd see. So the round magic number is obviously 180 when it comes to cadence, and there's kind of pros and cons to that. Like, your body naturally runs how it wants to run, but ever since running on the treadmill, my cadence has increased because it naturally makes you run with a higher cadence, because you are running against the belt, you are running at that speed with the belt's churning over. And to kind of put it into perspective, my 10K time from about 7 or 8 weeks ago, my cadence was about 168 steps per minute. To one I just recently did last Sunday, it was 174 steps per minute. So it kind of puts into perspective how, and it's not just down to the treadmill, obviously, but I find that for me, I'm forced to be able to run with higher cadence, which means that I'm not overstriding as much, which means that my legs can turn over a little bit better. Stride length was still the same, and that's kind of the only thing that I've changed within my training structurally, that kind of helps me distinguish between the two races. So that's one thing. If you are struggling with kind of cadence wise, you feel like you're if you feel like you do need to improve your cadence because you do feel like you're overstriding. And what overstriding is obviously when you're running and your heel is completely planted into the ground. Now, this isn't heel striking. Heel striking is completely fine. All of us are either heel strikers, midfoot strikers, or forefoot strikers. What I mean by overstriding is where you're swinging your leg underneath your hip and planting your heel right in front of you. So you're literally putting the brakes on. I'll put a photo next to me here of what overstriding looks like. So yeah, it kind of helps you ingrain a higher cadence, so you're not swinging your leg out and getting that overstriding cadence whilst you're running. And the beauty that I've seen with kind of treadmill training as of late is because the nights are drawing in, it's getting cold and dark at about 4 o'clock now. You kind of finish a day at work, and you may live in a rural area like I do, like really tiny country roads, and if a car comes, there isn't a lot of space for you to kind of get on the side of the road to like, oh man, I'm hating this run now because I've got a close call with a car. That's happened plenty of times with me. So being able to hop on a treadmill is pure gold when it comes to winter and stuff like that. So hope this video has been helpful for you. I hope it's given you a little bit of an insight of how you can kind of train on a treadmill. It doesn't have to just be the long slog miles. You can use it to your advantage. You can use it for warm-ups, cool downs, for your strength sessions. You can use it for your tempo runs, and you can use it for literally anything. So don't see it as a treadmill, see it as a training tool. Now I'm going to hand over to Hayley, who is going to talk all about her training on the treadmill and how it has affected her training.
Hi, I'm Hayley Carruthers and I'm an endurance runner. I work with NoblePro as an ambassador, and I also have recently joined them as part of the team. So my favourite distances are marathon and half marathon. Yeah, because I really like to suffer in a race. I know that's the only way to put it, really. So yeah, it's really satisfying when you get to the end and you know all the things that you've overcome just to get there. And the same applies in life really too. My marathon PB is 2:32 and my half marathon PB is 71:03. These were both ran in 2019. But yeah, 2020 was definitely the year that at-home treadmills really took off, and I've definitely benefited from using mine at home. One of the really good things as well about the NoblePro treadmill is you can replicate hills on there as well, because they do have obviously a very good incline function. There's also workouts you can do for hill training as well. I used to really hate running on treadmills, and yeah, that's probably the best place to start for a vlog talking about how much I do love the treadmill now. But yeah, basically I used to find time went really slowly. It was really hard work. All the paces felt a lot quicker. But now, whenever I go on the treadmill, I actually find I can work a lot harder, I can feel a lot smoother. And yeah, it's very different to running outside, but I also feel like it holds a lot of benefits that running outside doesn't quite have. Treadmills are also really good for when you have a little niggle, because if you're not very sure about whether you should run or not, you can actually just go on the treadmill. It's slightly less impact than the road, and you can just hop off if you feel unsure. As long as you actually do, though. We're all guilty of that, so the treadmill's an opportunity to be able to do that. It's also really good to help practice race strategies, because during a race you do spend a lot of time on your own. So for me, it's really beneficial to be able to see how hard I can actually push myself when I am on my own. And don't get me wrong, I absolutely love to train with the group, but there is a certain benefit to being able to push yourself when the going gets tough and when you are flying solo. I also like to use the treadmill without headphones, which is quite odd for some people because they like to use headphones because it helps them stay motivated and helps the time go quickly. But in fact, I like to practice my mental strategies and help to try and quieten the voices and the negative thoughts in my head. So it's strange actually, because I don't think I've actually been bored on a treadmill, because I kind of focus on my form, and I have like a mirror in front of my treadmill so I can relax my shoulders, swing my arms and focus on my stride, and there's always something to focus on. I think one of the main benefits for marathon training is the fact that a marathon block takes roughly around 4 months to complete, so you're going to be running through a lot of different conditions and a lot of different weather, and using a treadmill, obviously, it's consistent conditions all year round, especially when it's really icy outside, so you can definitely still get the quality in without the added risk, because I feel like marathon training already has quite a lot of added risk. So my longest run on the treadmill is 22 miles, but fortunately it was a progression run and it was broken down into smaller blocks, so I was able to just take it little by little. And it actually went surprisingly quickly, to be fair. There was a lot of people looking at me thinking, yeah, but that was quite a while ago. The treadmill also allows you to run safely, because on an evening after work when it's dark, it is a lot safer to run inside, especially when you're on your own. And as a female runner, I do feel a lot safer being on my treadmill when there is nobody else able to run with me for that evening, especially if I do have a hard session to do and I want to make sure that There is no fear of others or cars, or making sure that also that I don't fall over my own feet. And the classic, the loneliness of the long distance runner. So during a race, you spend a lot of time on your own. So it's really beneficial to sometimes train alone and on a treadmill as well, because you can kind of see how tough you really are. But yeah, happy running.